Today I wanted to show you some tips on how to make this card. I'm going to start right here with the window punch. First I stamped my piece of Barely Banana cardstock with So Saffron ink using the flannel pad background stamp. The way I lined up my punch right there in the corner is I took my word window punch and a post-it note and I just punched it out, and I made sure to punch right there where the adhesive part is. And then just lay this in the corner right where you want the punch to be. And then turn your punch upside down, line it up right on top of your post-it note, and punch. And that way it's centered exactly where you want it. Now the next part is getting the words to line up through the hole. So I laid my pieces of cardstock right on top of each other. And then I took a pencil and I just lightly traced the inside of my punch. And to do this, you're going to need to use the Stamp-A-Majig. And I'm using my bird from my Pun Fun stamp set. I think that's the cutest stamp set in the new catalog. I'm going to take my brush tip marker and just color in the words, Happy Bird Day. The way the Stamp-A-Majig works, you take the imaging sheet and you put it right in the corner here. Line up your Stamp-A-Majig, put the wooden block right in the corner, and stamp it straight down. So you get the words right there. Now what you want to do is see the penciled mark, and you're going to line up the words Happy Bird Day exactly where you want them. Take the Stamp-A-Majig and again place it right there up against the corner of your acetate sheet. Now you're going to move that and being very careful not to bump your Stamp-A-Majig. Again, you're going to ink up the words. Put your wooden block in the corner and stamp straight down. And there are my words right inside my penciled image. So just take your eraser and just lightly erase it. Careful not to smudge the ink. I've done that once. Next, just take some adhesive, add it in the corners, and I always make sure to go and put a little bit of adhesive around this window. I don't want it to lift up or anything right there. And just stick those two layers together. And there are the words. I stamped 3 of my little birds and colored them in with markers, and now I'm going to punch them out with my 1 1/4 inch square punch. In the film strip cards, you want to kind of rotate the different angles of the bird so it looks like he's having a good time partying. So this one I'm going to lean it this direction, the middle one, do that one straight up and down, and this one maybe I'll lean it this angle. I've already punched out some pumpkin pie pieces with my 1 3/8 inch square punch. So I'm going to add a little adhesive to the back. You can see where I goofed on the back. I stamped my little bird, and one of the little flecks in my confetti white cardstock looked like he made it look like he had 3 eyes. So that's why he's on the back of there. Tear those down. And then set those aside. Next I'm going to show you some tips on using the spiral punch. As you can see, there's a guide right here in the corner, and you're going to use that to line up your cardstock. I'm showing you again on a post-it note. You're going to put the corner all the way down into your punch as far as it will go, and all the way up against the guide, and punch. Now for the second punch, you're going to insert the guide so it goes right up here in the slot that your last punch made. and punch. And you just keep going across your paper. Now the problem is, when I did my first one, I went through and I started punching it, and my last punch left a hole right here along the edge of the cardstock. And if you're picky like me, I didn't like that at all. So I found a way to get around that. I made a template for myself. I just took a scrap piece of cardstock, punched it along the whole length. And I knew that my paper needed to be 4 5/8 inches long. And see, if you set it right there, you're able to look ahead of time and see that your punch is going to be right on the edge. So I knew that I needed to slide it this way so that the punch was a little bit more centered, but yet this one wasn't too close to the edge. So I need to slide my paper over about that far. So the way I did it is, instead of putting my cardstock in and sliding it all the way over to the guide, I slid it to the left, I don't know, maybe about 1/8 of an inch, and punched. And again, I went all the way across the cardstock. Now the last one, it's only going to have one hole, and so instead of sliding it so that my guide goes into this slot, I'm going to slide it so my guide goes into this one, and punch. And that way, if your hole is over here and your next one's just going to nip the side of your cardstock, you don't want that to happen. So again, just slide it over just one hole rather than going the 2 holes across. Now to do the other side, I think usually what I would do is I would just turn the cardstock like this. But what's going to happen is your holes won't line up properly across, because again, you're going to start this one over and it's going to go that far. So instead of flipping it that way, you want to flip it this way. And again, insert it in, move it over about 1/8 of an inch, and punch. And that last one. And there you go. Now I'm going to add adhesive to the back of my little birds. I find it's best to do the 2 edge pieces. Put them where you want them. Let's see, over here. And then it's easier to line up the one in the middle and get the spacing even. I'm going to add adhesive on the back of that. Put it on my card at an angle. 4 corners, and then adhere it to my card base. And there you have a happy birthday card.